What's going on, everybody? Sega Man back here with another video. This video I'm going to do, it's dedicated to a good friend of mine that does YouTube sometime. You know what I mean? He's a cool guy. E-Rock, the Don King of Xbox. This video is definitely dedicated to him. These are some old school games, some that actually became old school, and some that people might have forgot about. You know what I mean? So this video is dedicated to him because I said I would do a video about it. And this segment video I'm doing is wrestling games. These are old school wrestling games from different systems. E-Rock, he's a big fan of WWF Wrestling. I'm a big fan of WCW and TNA when it was out. A lot of people didn't like TNA very much. It just reminded me of WCW. Now I'm a fan of the old school WWF. You know what I mean? The new wrestling, I'm not down it or anything. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's evolved. You know what I mean? And they still have diehard fans of WW. You know what I mean? And TNA is still around, but I think it's called Impact Wrestling. I don't know if they changed it. You know what I mean? There's another one called, I think it's Ring King or something like that. I can't remember that one. The Iron Ring or something that's around. You know what I mean? But in my years of loving wrestling, I just liked it WCW the most. My all-time favorite when WCW was out was the NWO. You know what I mean? I bought so many shirts and stuff like that, and I watched all of them. Bought the pay-per-views. You know what I mean? But we're going to get into some old-school wrestling games here, and these are some games you might want to collect for if you pick up some older systems. You know what I mean? And they're pretty good. And I got these at a really good price. So let's start with the first one. The first one here is WWF Royal Rumble. And this game actually came out on the Sega Dreamcast. I've got this game a while back for like $4 or $5. But Royal Rumble, was a pretty decent game on the Dreamcast. You can see the Rock on the front there. You know what I mean? The graphics for the time period, I thought, were pretty decent. You know what I mean? For the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was a 128-bit system. But Royal Rumble, I thought it was pretty good. For the Sega Dreamcast. This is one you might want to collect for too. You know what I mean? I don't think it's too much in price. Today you might want to check your local websites like eBay or Amazon. But it's a great game to get into. You know what I mean? A lot of characters are in here. Brutal, bone-crushing action. You know what I mean? And for its time, it was THQ. And it was pretty decent. It was pretty good for the time being. Now the next one we got here, also for the Dreamcast, is WWF Attitude. Get it? This is by Acclaim Sports. Now the graphics in here were a little bit, they were okay. For the time it had like real realism entrances with the wrestlers that come out like Kane. My favorite wrestler, if I watched WWF at the time, was Kane. You know what I mean? And this is it right here. It was pretty good. You know what I mean, for the Sega Dreamcast. You see the Undertaker on the front. You know what I mean? You see Mankind. You see Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then there's the Rock again. You know what I mean? But it was not a bad game for the Sega Dreamcast, and you can get this fairly cheap. I seen this used in my local exchange for $2 in the case and everything, and it's nice and clean inside and stuff, so not bad if you want to start collecting old school wrestling games if you have these systems. Now the next one we have here was another one that was on the Dreamcast, and that is One you don't really hear much about, and this is the other one I didn't mention. They were more like a Mortal Kombat of wrestling, and that is Hardcore ECW Revolution by Acclaim. So that's another one that came out, for the Dreamcast. I believe that's Rob Van Dam right there, kicking the guy with the chair. This, when they came out, to me, they were the first extreme wrestling. You know what I mean? And I did watch them for a while, and they were just very brutal. It was on TNN. It had like, there was some guy, I think his name was New Jack, and he used to cut people with razors on their face. You know what I mean? And slam them down to the ground and stuff like that. But ECW was a really cool wrestling show if you wanted that real, like, kind of almost gore gritty type of wrestling. And they were around for a while. A lot of these guys, when ECW disappeared, they went to like WWF, in different places like that, some of these guys, but it's a great game to play, especially with friends. It's truly hardcore. A lot of people didn't really like the graphics of the game. The game was okay in my opinion, you know what I mean, graphically. But it's another good game to collect for, and I believe it's fairly cheap. If you have a Dreamcast, pick it up. Now, these are some really very old school wrestling games that were great for the 16-bit era. And the first one we're going to show is WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. Great game to pick up for your Sega Genesis. It just had a lot of memorable characters. You know what I mean? Let's name some off. We got Doink, Razor Ramon, Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Yokozuna, Bam Bam Bigelow, and you have Lex Luger. And there's a lot more on here. And these were just packed with action. You know what I mean? The Sega Genesis, in my opinion, did a great job with wrestling games for a 16-bit era. It's just stuff you just never forget about. That, to me, this is when wrestling was really good, was back in these days, you know what I mean? And some of you guys out there know what I'm talking about. But this is a great game to own, guys. If you have it complete or just finding the tape, if you want to collect wrestling games for the Sega Genesis. And I'll give you a quick glimpse of what it looks like in here with the book. You know what I mean? And, some of these guys have passed away, unfortunately. You know what I mean? But it's a great game to get for your Sega Genesis. It's arcade game fun. They have little special moves that they do. The graphics were pretty good for the time being at that time period. It was just a great game to get for the Sega Genesis. Now another one we got here is from Flying Edge. This is also on the Sega Genesis. This is WWF Super WrestleMania. And it has like the greats on it again. Hulk Hogan, is on there. The Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, Ted DiBiase. This was another great game to get for the Sega Genesis. The graphics were pretty decent, you know what I mean, but the most part about these games to me was the fun factor. Graphics were okay for what they can do, but it was the fun factor and then playing with somebody also. You could play these games, one player, but when you had like your cousin come over or a buddy from school and you're hanging out, you know what I mean, these were great games to play, you know what I mean, and I'm glad to have this in my Sega Genesis collection, you know what I mean. It just was really good, and it brings back a lot of memories. Now the next one we have here, old school wrestling game, is WWF Rage in the Cage for the Sega CD. Now the Sega CD upped the ante a little bit when it came to graphics, sound effects, and music. And they did a really good job with this. Ted DiBiase's in here, Mr. Perfect, just to name a few. let's see, Iron R. Shyster, you know what I mean? Big Boss, man. A lot of, and this is the one on the Sega CD. Now, the Sega CD, they did a great job with this wrestling game, Rage in the Cage. It was just so much fun, man. And I still actually play some of this today. It has live action video in it. And it was just awesome. And the graphics were pretty good too. Now, like I said before, for that time era, graphics are not like what you would see like on the Xbox One X or anything like that. But for the time, it was just wonderful to see what the Sega CD could do and push graphically, you know. And it was just a really awesome game. And if you can find it, complete or not, and you have a Sega CD or you're going to get one soon, pick it up. You know what I mean? If you find it, if you like wrestling games. Now we got a few more left here. You know what I mean? And the next one here is for the GameCube. This is Legends of Wrestling 2 for the GameCube right here. And you see it has all the old legends on there like Andre the Giant. You know, who else is on here? Andre the Giant. We have Bret the Hitman Hart. I think Jerry King Lawler. You know what I mean? Roddy Piper. You know, the Big Booty Daddy. I can't remember his name. I remember him as the Big Booty Daddy. Oh man, he's Steiner. Scott Steiner. One of my favorite wrestlers. And a lot more. Hulk Hogan. Just a lot more of the great wrestling greats that we grew up with. You know, in my time era, that we really liked at the time, you know what I mean? But it's a great game to own for your GameCube. If you don't have it already, you could probably find this fairly cheap at like a half-price books or an exchange. I think I got mine for $5 or $6, and it was complete, you know, inside there. But it's a great game to own for the GameCube. You can find these games on other systems too if you don't own a GameCube. Now, another one we got here, this is for the original OG Xbox. And this is called Showdown Wrestling. Showdown Legends of Wrestling. Now, I believe this was the first one. Randy Savage, Macho Man, Sting. You know, a lot of good wrestlers that were on here also. And that's for the original Xbox. Another great game in my opinion. You know what I mean? I just like these, especially the old school wrestlers, man. I just love these games. Graphically, it was pretty good for the time. You know, they did a really good job, I think, on the backgrounds of the inside the arenas and different things like that. You know, it was an awesome game. And I think the Road Warriors are in this game. It's by Acclaim again, but it's a good game to add to your wrestling collection, or if you're going to start. I don't think it's too much to find and get complete. So if you don't know about it, you know about it now. So pick it up. You might like it. Now the next one we have here is on the Xbox 360. You don't really hear too much about this. It was by Midway. I don't think a lot of people liked it. I thought it was a pretty decent game, and I believe it's their only game. And that is TNA Impact Wrestling on the Xbox 360. It was pretty good, you know what I mean? You have Sting in the background there, you know what I mean? And then, what's his name? He's actually from here. I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name right now, but he's from Pittsburgh. I can't remember his name, but it was a great, and it had a bonus disc that also came with it. That's the inside here. I believe I got this at a GameStop, and it was a bonus disc that came with it. And I've played it a few times, you know what I mean? It's a pretty decent game, you know what I mean? I don't think a lot of people liked it as much as they would like WW, but they wanted to throw their hand into the game, into the gaming field, and it's got, you know, it's not bad. It's Havoc Engine, Unreal, you know what I mean? You know, it used to come on Spike. But you could probably find TNA Impact pretty cheap, I believe, these days. So it's really not a bad game if you want to collect for it for your Xbox 360. Now, the very last game I got here that was on the 360, and I picked this up for like $5, and I didn't even know about it when I was browsing at my local exchange. And it is, I believe it is the, how you say, like the Latino wrestling, Latro Libre. This was on the Xbox 360 also. You don't really hear many people talk about this wrestling game, but this game is really fun. I love it still today, and I still pick it up and play it once in a while, you know, on my 360. The graphics were pretty decent. I like the costumes that the wrestlers wear, the mask and everything, and it was just a really decent game, and I don't really hear too much about this game. But it was a great wrestling game for the 360, and when I picked it up and tried it out, I really, really liked it. So that's it today, guys. You know, picking up games is going to be, you know, put to the side for a while because of what's going on. But, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed your week and your weekend. But I wanted to come and do another video because I wanted to dedicate this, you know, to a good friend of mine, E-Rock, the Don King of Xbox. Check out his channel. He's an awesome dude. Sometimes he'll do videos. He expresses feelings on his videos, and that's what he likes to do, and I back him up 100%. You know what I mean? He's a cool guy. Check his channel out. He does a lot of gameplay. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. But every once in a while, he'll come out of that and do, if he feels it's important, he'll do a video about what's going on in the gaming media and what he feels and thinks about it. You know what I mean? So check him out. Check out 100's channel. He's a cool brother. And check out K Mega, GRG. They do a great podcast. They do it on Mixer on Fridays. Check them out. They're no holds barred when it comes to talking about games and stuff that's going on in the media and what's coming up for these new systems. You can actually get a lot of knowledge from these gaming brothers. They're really cool. You know what I mean? They know what they're talking about when it comes to gaming. Check out GWG Grown Women Gaming with El Boogie, Lady Infamous, Charisse, and Delilah 4K. She's really cool. They're great women, and I like what they're doing. You know what I mean? So check them out. I just want to give a shout out to everybody out there that has subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it, guys. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep doing videos, you know what I mean, on stuff like this. You know what I mean? I just love doing it. You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm a collector. You know what I mean? Yes, you guys know I'm a diehard Xbox fan, but I'm going to do videos on what everything I own. From Sega to PlayStation to Nintendo to the 3DO or whatever. I own a lot of systems, and I have a lot of games, and I like talking about some of my games and and just showing you guys some of this stuff, and very, very old school retro systems that you might not have heard of, and you might not even have been born yet. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. I'll be back on with another video soon, and stay safe out there, guys. You know what I mean? Stay safe. You know what I mean? And enjoy what you like playing. You know, I'm playing a lot of games right now. You know what I mean? I picked up a lot of games digitally on my Xbox One X. Enjoying them. You know what I mean? Until I can get back out there and do some more pickups for you guys. You know what I mean? If you subscribe to my channel, I'll subscribe back. I don't need any money. I don't ask for any money. I like doing this because I just like showing you and telling you my knowledge and my things I like about collecting and video games in general. You know what I mean? But take it easy, guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Xbox for life. Peace and love. Sega Man out.